Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back. Our Tuesday talk, the HER, Health Empowerment Reset. For those of you that are new to this, we meet every Tuesday and we bring these amazing topics. So we're excited about today's topic. But before we begin, I'll introduce myself. My name is Martha King. I'm a certified health coach here in Hanover.
I'm Dr. Duarte Ray. I am a gut health specialist with Core Vitality here in Hanover, Pennsylvania.
I'm Asha Scatchard. I live in York, Pennsylvania. My practice is in York, and my website, Energy Bodyworks. Back to you, Martha.
Thank you, ladies. All right, before we begin, I'd like to read a disclaimer that anything that we provide today in the talk, it is only for information only. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure any disease, condition, or illness. So please talk to your primary care doctor if you want to make any changes to your care plan. So today's topic is about self-care. That is so essential in our lives. And it all begins within yourself. Want to make those changes. And so today, Marilyn is going to talk to us about why it's so important, it's so essential for self-care. And she's going to give us some pointers. And so we're looking forward to have her on board.
Good morning, Martha. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be here with you today. I'm here, as Martha said, to talk about the importance of self-care. My background is I am a consultant and trainer for drug and alcohol treatment providers. I do counseling in the recovery and substance use disorder world. And I'm so used to working with such dedicated people who give so much of who they are, their time and their energy, their most valuable resources to others. And I'm hopefully a constant reminder to them, and I remind myself as well, that without self-care, it is impossible to continue to do what it is that you are so dedicated to doing for others. And I like to start by asking everyone to consider what methods, techniques have you offered to folks, whether it's your clients professionally or friends or family members, what have you encouraged others to do, particularly during this whole COVID period where there's so much uncertainty? How have you encouraged people in your world to take care of themselves, to reduce their anxiety, to feel better day to day in what might be a new routine? And as you're kind of ticking off those things that you might be encouraging other folks to do, my bigger question is, what have you done for yourself from your very same list? And one of the things that I know for sure is too often that list is not being attended to at all. That in fact your self-care efforts may have been kind of put at the bottom of the priority list, which is just never a very good idea. I always use that airplane analogy that says if there's a problem on the airplane, put your own mask on first are the instructions so that you have the ability, the breath, oddly enough, the breath, to help other people. And so this is just your reminder that in your own life, please remember self-care encourages us, sometimes it demands of us, that we put our own breathing at the top of our priority list so that in fact we're able to support and care for others. And it is truly my belief that self-care begins with self-compassion. The very idea of compassion is that it is defined by simply an awareness for somebody else's suffering or someone else's hard time. And self-compassion is taking that very definition and turning it inward, having some awareness that things are possibly difficult, or I need to take a pause, or I need to save space or time for myself. I need to create balance. And self-compassion says that I have an awareness of what I need, and I take the time and the space to provide that for myself, knowing that self-care isn't dessert. at the end of a special occasion dinner, but rather it's an everyday, it's an everyday form of nourishment that's really required. How does that sound to those of you who are listening? Asha or Julie or Martha, do you have thoughts about that?
I think it's great. I was a caretaker for a long time, and that was a 24/7 job, which it was for my father, which of course I didn't mind, but I got extremely tired. And of course at that time, I really never asked for help. I just kept going, and it was basically a day after day routine. And I would at night basically crawl into my bed, and I felt like Cinderella. But I did it, and I was happy. And then the last moment after everything was done, after he passed, I said to myself, could I have done more? You know, could I have done more? And I knew at the time I couldn't. But when you bounce back, you question yourself.
Just asking the question, could I have done more, when you have given all that you could and on a day-to-day basis known that you did the very best that you could on that particular day. The fact that women need to ask that question is part of the kind of what makes self-care such a demand, that overwhelming lack of balance, where we choose to validate ourselves from what we offer to others at the expense of caring for ourselves, is so critical. And Asha, you bring up a good point, which is, well, in my day-to-day life, when I have so many things going on or others to care for, or all of the things that women find themselves doing, my suggestion of self-care certainly isn't to engage in those big new projects that take time and you have to go somewhere and buy the equipment and get set up. Rather, I'm suggesting just small bites, those things that I can build in to my day every day, if not more than once a day, that will just help me build space from within. And we know physiologically that compassion, as well as the lack of self-compassion, have the ability to trigger all kinds of things in our own neurobiology. And we know that that self-criticism, did I do enough? What did I leave undone? Who did I miss? What didn't I do? How could I have helped more? That loop of where wasn't I enough, that tends to play in the background of our thinking, has the ability to generate a lot of what I call negative smoke. And that smoke sort of sets off the alarm that tells us we have to fight or flee, all part of our autonomic nervous system. And that loop itself, which has the ability to spark the autonomic nervous system, means that we really are slowly over time damaged by just the repetition of that self-criticism, the questioning, did I do enough? And compassion, self-compassion, has the ability to put that fire out and allow the portion of the brain that soothes that disruption to kind of take over. And I'm here to suggest that truly what ignites that soothing, calming portion of the autonomic nervous system, called the parasympathetic nervous system, is simply an exhale. And I encourage people who, women who are so busy and so overwhelmed and so uncertain, to build in time every hour just to sit and take a few deep breaths in and deeper breaths out. That the exhale is so very, very important. Now may not be the time to engage in that new big activity you've always been wanting to try. And even vacations, although that might be a source of relief for you, are generally more stressful than they are relaxing. And so the small bite says, start with a breath in and a breath out. knowing that you're building space within with each exhale. And I challenge anyone to try to convince me that they don't have time or energy for a good, focused exhale, because of course we do. And again, I'm not suggesting that there be any big kind of explosive new engagement, but rather just the willingness to focus even once an hour on breath. The other form of self-compassion that I encourage so strongly is the awareness of that which is to be celebrated in you. And I've encouraged the daily list at the end of each day, even if it's just a mental listing of that which went well. I want the universe to know that I've noticed the small gifts and the bigger ones. The small ones for me include knowing that the cardinals found my feeders and are eating at my bird feeders. The small celebrations are the fact that my cats got along all day, and I'm really appreciative of those things. To celebrate what went well has the ability to diminish the weight of that negative loop that plays. And I can't say enough about whether we write down what we're celebrating and grateful for, whether we keep a mental list, whether we draw a picture about it, whatever it is, the idea of ending our day, each day, with some thought about what I'm grateful for today, what went well today, how did my strengths sort of show up on my behalf today. All of that appreciation, again, has the ability to augment feeling better in very real physiological ways, and we know that's true. So I've lost track of time. How am I doing, Martha?
You're good. I want to add a few things that now, many times, well, now it seems like people just lost themselves within themselves. And I find that with my clients, we do a lot of self-care. We do different techniques and different things, and just to remind themselves to get back in themselves. And as crazy as it sounds, many times they need to put it on the calendar to remember, okay, I got to stop, either take a walk, do some breaths, hydrate myself. I mean, they're all just little tiny things that means such an impact and essential to our beings.
Yeah. If we have to ask ourselves the question, I don't know if I deserve to take this time, that alone tells me something about the fact that you need to take the time. And that questioning whether I deserve it or not is in fact the data that helps you know that it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That in each day to build in time to be thankful or grateful, time to be inspired by something, time to meditate or to just think things through, to pause for a moment, and time to exercise, to build in some movement. All of those things are critical. And for anyone like myself who's now been working at home and doing counseling via telehealth and finding that everything is different than it had been, I know how easy it is to lose track of time, that you aren't quite sure about the time your day starts and you're not quite clear on when the day ends, and not taking a moment to have a little time to yourself in the middle of the day. All of this has shifted our thinking in ways that increase the demand for self-care. Because it's so very essential to build that space within. I cannot say enough about how self-care is sort of that visualization of cleaning a closet, that without self-care, we, like a closet, pack more and more and more in, not realizing that at the back of the closet, stuffed within, is a lot of stuff we no longer need, and there's no room for the things that we do need. And so again, with each inhale, we build awareness, and with each exhale, we let go of what no longer is needed. And so I kind of equate even just that breathing in and breathing out with the cleaning of the closet. We're building the space that we need for managing right now. Without getting too deeply into the whole idea of it, we know that anxiety attacks and panic attacks take us to places where we don't belong. One is into the past, where we have no power to alter or change what's been, or into the future, where also we have no real use for power because we can't change what hasn't happened yet. And so our genuine power and wellness comes from staying right here and right now. And so, again, breath takes us away from where we've been, and it kind of puts up a stop sign regarding where we're going and allows us to focus with each in-breath and exhale just on this moment where our power is most useful. And I can't say enough about the beauty of staying right here, right now, as a form of good self-care and even a little bit of self-protection. Other thoughts about that? Any comments or questions?
So we can talk all day. I love this topic. You know, this is just, you know, people feel so much guilt about taking time for themselves, guilty and shame. And that's something that I find it a lot, you know, with people that I talk to. And so you know, if it all goes back to how they're brought up, you know, through the families before, you know, that being selfish or self-care is being selfish, that is negative. So that's not just one thing that people create, it's been carried from before, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know for sure is that starting at a very young age, we start to hear the stories we are given, and we start to repeat those stories in our own being. And we tend to retell those same old stories about what I deserve and what I can do and what's okay and what's not okay over and over and over. And self-care says, let me check into those stories just a little bit, because there might be a few chapters I need to rewrite. And mindfulness, staying in this moment, staying grounded right here and right now, helps us see what chapters we can rewrite and what new versions of our story we can tell. I've been working with a client through some telehealth stuff, and I said to him after a number of phone conversations that I've already heard your story so often that I'm kind of bored with it. You've been telling this story for a lifetime. You must be overwhelmingly tired of your story. Let's find a new version. Because it didn't suit him any longer. And it was really an interesting kind of revelation. And it's always important for us to stay focused. Wellness for women demands that we don't take on and just adopt the stories we were given and have been repeating, that we make sure through our own awareness that we're telling a story that works for us today. And if it doesn't work for us today, to know that we are the authors of our own stories, and we get to rewrite the chapters anytime we want to.
Well said. Anyone else?
No, I think it's an interesting topic, and I listen to a lot of entrepreneurs who have podcasts and a lot of audiobooks and things like that. And it seems like there's this common theme that everybody who I listen to that's successful in their business, one of the things that they talk a lot about that they contribute their success to is being grateful, practicing gratitude, and also taking time for themselves and being okay with taking that time for themselves. And I actually started my own little ritual. I've taken time for myself several times a week, if not every day, which, you know, I didn't do before. And I have seen a major change in my daily activities where I feel like I'm more productive. I get more out of my day. And at the end of the day, what I think I feel is different is that I go to bed knowing that I had a productive day and I got the most out of my day. Where before I'd go to bed and be like, I didn't get this done, I didn't get this done, I didn't get this done, and oh my God, that project's due tomorrow, and I got half of it done. And I really think that for me, changing my mindset has really helped me in being able to say, I got so much time today, here's my list of things to get done, and if I get these things done, I've had a productive day and I feel accomplished. And it's really worked for me. I can go to bed at night and sleep.
Isn't it so harsh to think that I'm putting my head on my pillow and telling myself the lullaby of all the things I didn't accomplish and all of the harsh messages of what I didn't do? That's so, we would never want a child to do that. And we would never want anyone else in our lives to do that. And yet we find it sort of okay to do it to ourselves. Martha, am I allowed to talk about a book that I would encourage everyone to
Yes,
check out?
yes, you may. I know we're getting short on time, but go right ahead. Yes.
Very quickly, the book that I recommend to everyone is called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, R-U-I-Z. And in his book, he talks about these very 4 basic considerations, lessons, agreements, as he calls them, that seem simple until you really dig into them a little bit. And the 4 assumptions are to be impeccable with your word, say what you mean, don't say what you don't mean, make no assumptions, take nothing personally, and do your best, knowing that your best from day to day is going to shift and change. And I love those 4 agreements because doing my best says, don't put my head on my pillow at night and criticize and punish myself, but rather find what you're grateful for and celebrate those successes.
Oh. And I think there's so many people struggling with that right now too. Just being able to say, people have changed their whole entire life right now with everything going on, that I feel like when people aren't, some of the things I've been getting feedback on, and people not leaving their home makes them feel less productive through the day, or more overwhelmed, because not only are they now doing their work stuff, but they also have the kids at home and they have the laundry to still do and the cooking and the cleaning. So I think that this message is very important right now for not just, everyday life, but the, impact of our lives intertwining with our professional lives. And I think this is really important right now for a lot of people, this topic.
I do too. I do too.
Wow. This is good. Anything else, Asha? You see, you're going to say something?
Well, it's, I was going to say, it sounds like the perfect reset that is necessary.
True.
Yes. Yeah. This fits our I guess our motto, the herd, health, empowerment, reset. Yeah. Yeah. Resetting the button. So, well, I guess our time is up. Like always, we always very honored for our speakers. And Marilyn, you did outstanding. Like
Thank
always,
you so much.
I know you for so many years. I've been to so many conferences, state level, and you always top it off. I mean,
thank you.
The one keynote speaker that our conference that we did back in 2016, 2017. That
It was a while ago.
Yeah, that's it was an emergency. The one lady wasn't able to come because she had an accident, and you were right there for me. And I thank you before, and I'm going to thank you right now again. I mean, and the people attended the conference like, wow, it was just an amazing talk. The
Thank
topic,
you.
I forget the name of it, but it was amazing. So anyway, I want to thank you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again. And you have a lot in your toolbox that we want to be able to take advantage of. So I want to thank everyone for your time again, and appreciate all of you that are following us through these series. And we'll have another one next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank